It's a phrase that's been said more and more in the fitness space with less and less meaning and less context. And ultimately, what it's actually doing is hindering more people than actually helping them progress from the desired outcome that they actually want. So let's settle the debate today: performance or aesthetics? So, the two big questions we really need to be asking ourselves are: question one, what is aesthetics focused training? And what is performance focused training? So that we can actually get clear on what these actually are. And question two, why are people choosing a side? Is there even a side? Is this something that you should be doing? Is this something that's actually limiting you without actually even realizing? I want to really dive into these. So, what is aesthetics focused training? So, aesthetics focused training is a bodybuilding regime. Whether you like to accept it or not, that's exactly what it is. It's a push pull legs, it's a full body, it's an upper lower times two times three, and it's following a protocol that a bodybuilder would typically follow to get in great shape, build muscle, or diet, or gain, or maintain. That's it. It can be done with low maintenance, it can be done with low input, and it can be managed really, really well around a lifestyle. And over the last decade, 20 years, people, coaches especially, have pushed this without even realizing it. And the industry itself has become very, very transformation focused, almost to the point that people actually forget that they are coaches and they just focus so much on the transformation without actually focusing on the person. Inside RFA, we always pride ourselves on being person driven, never process driven. And what's began to happen in the industry as a whole is people have became lost in this and they're just so focused on the outcome, and it's like they're not even speaking to a person. Sometimes it's like they're speaking to a little meat vessel when they're doing their check-ins with their client, and all they can wait to do is just showcase their result. They don't care about that person's mental health, what they're going through. They just care about, have they hit their macros, have they hit their steps, and ultimately that's what it is. Now, do we utilize these systems and these processes inside RFA? 100% we do, because ultimately bodybuilders have got very, very good at getting in shape. That's what they do. So they have the blueprint for it. So it'd be stupid to not follow their blueprint. So that is what bodybuilding aesthetics focused training actually is. And there's a spectrum there. There's people that go all in on this and it becomes their total identity. They want to go to the top. They want to go pro. I was speaking to a guy the other day, a lovely guy, and it's really, really like admirable actually watching what they're doing, how dedicated they are. And then you get someone else in the opposite end of the spectrum, which was me like 10 years ago, where it was just, how did I build a set of pecs so I look good in my scoop neck for going a night out in Newcastle? At the time, that was like my be all and end all, and I followed a bodybuilding protocol. Obviously, that person that I was talking about was way more dedicated than what I was, but ultimately I was following the same blueprint to an extent. Then on the other hand, we have performance driven training. So performance driven training is, there is an outcome. The outcome is a event, a result, speed gains, power gains, strength gains. Now, the part that so many folk forget is that there is performance elements inside of bodybuilding aesthetics. And this is the part that creates the sort of animosity in my mind and the frustration as well, because people are saying, I'm more into aesthetics. I was like, everyone should be into performance, because everyone should be striving to get stronger. Everyone should be striving to apply progressive overload, the said principle, specific adaptation to impose demand. Everyone should be tracking. Everyone should be logging. Everyone should be striving to beat that logbook every time they go into the gym. It doesn't matter if you only train a push-pull legs or you're actually following a protocol to be a better football player. The same principles apply. And this is the bit where things get crossed. And I want to really talk about this a bit more. So performance-driven training is essentially someone's maybe main focus and objective is a continual linear line of growth that is essentially like they want to just be a better runner. They want to be someone that's a strength athlete. They want to be someone that's competing at high rocks. They want to compete, go pro at CrossFit. This is typically what we would class as someone that is very, very performance driven. They focus a lot more on the actual instrumental element rather than just looking at their body as an ornament. Now, as you can see already, there is so many of these both that cross, so many similarities. But what a lot of people do is, instead of looking for similarities, they look for differences and they almost trying to segregate them. And as you can see there, if you say things subconsciously, what you don't realize is that what you accept becomes your standard. And if you're throwing things about like, I'm not bothered about performance, I'm more focused on how I look, subconsciously, you could be pigeonholing yourself, because you might then actually be telling yourself a story that you can leave more on the table, that you only need to focus on X, Y, or Z, when actually you're just cutting corners. You're not actually leaning into the stuff that you know you should be doing. You're not working to complete failure. You're literally doing half reps, half sets. You're not really going into every single session focused, because there's no real pressure to do that. And you then tell yourself this story that, but that's okay because I'm just focused on aesthetics. Unbeknown to you, you're actually not aesthetically progressing. You're just going to the gym and participating. Now, this happens as well with performance driven training, by the way. And the trap that people fall into here is that they become so anti aesthetic that they think by them just focusing on the training, the event, they can cut corners in other parts. They can get away with lousy nutrition. They can get away with lousy behaviors. They don't have to stay active. I've done videos on this before as well, where they can cut corners in other areas because it's okay because I focus on performance. And what happens is it becomes blood lines between them both. As you can see, there's pros and cons to both, but I hope you can see already, guys, like these are the same thing, right? How many pro athletes do you know that don't look aesthetically good? And on the other end, how many professional bodybuilders do you know that are top of the game, top of the food chain, that are not strong, that are not impressive with their dedication? They're apex predators, and it's the same with the people at the top. Now, I'm going to speak some honest truths here about my opinion on this and why people kind of take this path of saying that they just do something right. And I'm gonna not be biased. I'm gonna choose both sides. So when someone is maybe striving towards the kind of they've been someone that's very aesthetic focused, it's just about very surface level, it's just about how they look, it's just bodybuilding principles, training 4 days a week, focusing on steps, focusing on macros, focusing on their electrolytes in the morning. That's like it's great what they're doing. These are really good habits, by the way. I'm not taking away. But this is the truth. To do really, really well at both, you need to put in a lot of effort. However, to get really, really good results and tell yourself that you're doing more than you actually are, I believe it's easier to achieve that in aesthetics focused training. The minimal effective dosage to do well is less in aesthetics focused training. So, what I mean by this is if you are just focusing on a solid morning routine, planning your week, lifting 3 times per week, eating really well, doing a food shop, being organized, being planned. This isn't easy, by the way, for a lot of folk can't do this, right? That's what we help people with. But if we actually look at the prescription of what's required to get really good results, live in good shape, like you can have an unbelievable physique. I nearly swore there. I'm trying not to swear as much in these episodes. You can have an unbelievable physique and actually not be doing a whole lot on paper to be maintaining that if you're just doing it really consistently well. However, on the other hand, let's use Hyrox as an example. So you've obviously got Elite 15, pro athletes at top level, top 1%. But let's even talk about getting to world champs, right? So getting to world champs in Hyrox is like top 1%, top 2%. So it's not even the pros. Like you can get there by getting on a podium, coming in first or second, depending on what category you do, how many spaces there are, how many people that compete. To get that, you probably have to be training 10 hours a week consistently for a long period of time. You're going to be fatigued and tired. And that's not you even at the top, right? That's you. You're not even at the top. You're at the top of the everyday athlete, the top percentile, but you're not even breaching into that top percentile. So the point I'm trying to get at here is when it comes to aesthetics focused training, and that's all you focus on, to the untrained eye, you can be absolutely crushing it. Folk will be like, oh my God, look at this guy, look at this girl, look at their glutes, look at their quads, look at the shape they have. They might have been doing it for 10 years and they've just stacked it, but actually on paper, they're lifting 3 times a week, they're hitting 2 walks a day, and they're just so dialed in with their nutrition and their routines that it's almost mindless to them. Whereas the person that is absolutely crushing it, trying to get to the point where they're going sub 60 at Hyrox, men's open, women's open, doubles, whatever that is, mixed doubles, to even get a chance to be on that podium, is slamming like 10 to 16 hours a week of training to even be at the point to get to there. Like they have to become obsessed about it. And those two things are almost like people could see that and be like, they're like the same thing. And to me, they're not, because one requires so much more effort and energy. And in my opinion, I feel like people get a taste of how hard it is to actually be okay at this and do well at it. And they just kind of have this conversation with themselves going, that's too much effort. And this is where I think the full thing comes from, where people then go, well, I'm just going to focus on the aesthetics. However, what actually happens then, because it's a minimal effective dosage, they then actually cut corners on that. And they're not even doing that well. As I spoke about, it's not rocket science, guys. Like you follow the basic principles, do it consistently. The consistency bit is the hard part. That's the part that most folk cannot do. But don't fall into the trap of telling yourself that you're more focused on one when actually you're not focused on any. You're just cutting corners because the principles for both cross, they cross. And to do well at any of them, you have to follow those principles. Progressive overload, pushing yourself, testing yourself. It might just so happen that one requires more volume and one requires a little bit less volume. By the way, you can do like exceptional things. Like, you don't have to be training 10 hours a week, by the way, right? You do not need to be doing that. Like, you can get really, really fit, but it does come a point where with fitness that it requires more volume, more effort. And you're not going to be doing that all year. Some people might be because that's where their head is at, what they want. But then there might be other people that they do it for a short spell and lead up to event. For the final 8 weeks before it, they ramp the volume up a little bit. As I spoke about in the last YouTube episode I done, where I spoke about fueling for performance, like, you're going to have times you need to know where your training is at, what's required. So yeah, guys, like, the biggest thing to take away from this is there is no real debate. Like, they are essentially the same thing. Like, if you do both very, very well, you get the other one. If you push really, really hard to the top end of aesthetics, you should be very strong. You should have good muscular endurance. You should be able to really work hard. And they both transfer over. If someone's got a really good bodybuilding base and they've been doing it to the highest level and giving it their all, that transfers over into performance focused training, like training for an event. You're going to have an advantage over someone who hasn't done that. And that's what you need to understand. And vice versa, it's going to go the other way as well. If you're really nailing those performance-driven priorities, you're nailing your nutrition, nailing your recovery, nailing your volume, being respectful of how hard you're training, sticking to the plan, the outcome is that you look good as well. But a lot of people just do not get that. And they almost like kind of choose a side. And without even realizing it, they actually kind of end up holding themselves back. So yes, guys, I hope this episode helped. I hope it landed with you, but I was talking about it in my stories last week. It's came up so many times that it's going to come up more and more. So hopefully this one actually kind of boots off on here and gets a lot of traction, because I feel like this is something that people are holding themselves back with and don't even realize. So yeah, guys, as always, hope you enjoyed the episode. Hope you took a lot away from it. Please subscribe to the channel. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below about what you took away from this episode. And yeah, like, I am producing a lot of content right now, so I would really, really appreciate if you subscribe to the channel. Yeah, guys, see you later. Goodbye.